Hey, good morning on this wonderful Monday. I want to thank everyone who's purchased my book, whether you purchased the ebook or you purchased the hard wax copy. I came on live last week and just talked about my book, which I wrote in 2017, but I wrote about learning how to pay myself. So I want to thank all of you who purchased the book, who are utilizing the book, who are doing all the worksheets in there and the challenges that I give out, and really trying to understand your money language, your money relationship, the issues you have with money, reading about my issues that I have about money or that I had and how I worked through them, how I got myself out of debt, how I started to learn about business credit versus personal credit, how I was utilizing my tips a lot better than the way I was doing before. Previously, I would take the money and just spend it. So my book isn't very long. It's only 28 pages long, but there's lots of wealth of information in there. There's lots of worksheets and there's things for you to work on. So when I came live last week, I was very impressed with everyone who went out to purchase it, because we as estheticians and in the beauty industry, we don't talk about our money issues. So it's something that I have been talking about pretty much my entire journey. I have a whole series on YouTube called The Wax Class, where I talk about my journey beginning as an esthetician, how I didn't want to wax, how I really forced myself to become a faster waxer and charge what I needed to charge. But I was not a waxer when I started off in aesthetics. I was really there to learn how to correct my skin and then learn how to talk to people about correcting their skin. So waxing kind of fell in my lap, and it's really what I've done the last 15 years. But it's not how I started my career 18 years ago. It was not waxing. I did not really even like waxing. So it was so funny. But I'm thankful for all of you who are who have purchased the book, who have the book now, and you're utilizing the challenges that I throw out there, especially with money. And there's a big thing that we have to kind of face when you are a business owner, and that's really realizing that the money issues that you have really stem from a very deep place and have a lot of control over how we view money and then how we spend money. So it really was something I had to overcome myself in order to be better at. And I needed a lot more accountability than I was willing to admit. And so when you have something that is so near and dear to you, and you know that you have to really correct your money issues before you can be successful, it's hard to figure out, where do you start? Do you start in your personal life? Do you start with your personal credit? Do you start with your business credit? Do you establish business credit? Or is your personal credit so bad that you can't establish business credit? So, you know, my biggest thing with helping people and getting them to understand that the money issue has to be dealt with before you grow is something that is an over time. So it took me 10 years to pay myself correctly. I've been in business for myself 15 years, and I've been an esthetician 18 years. So it's not something that happens overnight. And even when I was writing the book, and I wrote that book in 2017, there were still some things in it that really shook me and got me like, why did I make these decisions? And why was I so adamant about admitting that I had a money problem, or admitting that I really just never liked looking at my bills? I never liked looking at my credit card bills. I never liked looking at my bank statements. I never wanted to see how much debt I had. Why did I continue to be in that cycle, and how that cycle affected everything that had to do in the business and my personal life? So if you're at a place where you've really been struggling with your money issues, whether it's lack of money or you feel that you're not taking care of the money that you have, it's not something that can be rectified after reading a book. It really has to have, and you have to give yourself time to work through those, right? The reason I said 10 years it took me to pay myself correctly is because that's really the amount of time that it took. I carried debt from my business the entire time I had business. I did not get out of my business debt until last year. So it was my 15th year that I finally got rid of all of the business debt that I had been carrying on my back for 15 years. And it really became very evident once the debt was gone, how much of it was weighing on me. But it took me that long to realize that I didn't have to have the debt, that I could make better money decisions, that I could do better things with my money, and I should buy for what I need and not what I want. And I think that's something that each person that has those struggles has to realize. You have to make up your mind and when you're ready to deal with those issues. Because a lot of times it stems from something else. You buying things is for some people is emotional release. Having so many things is another emotional tie. So, it's not just saying I'm going to be better with the money that I have. You also have to figure out, why do you do the things that you do, and what does it give you that you feel that you need to buy in this way, whether you have the money or not. Why do you do the things that you do? And for me, I'm very honest with them. There are a lot of things that I have to ask myself when I'm buying it. Do I buy it because I want it, or am I buying it because I need it? If it's a want, then I'm not going to buy it right now, because that want can change tomorrow. And if it's easier for me to buy it because I have easy access to it, then I may not need it. So I have to go and now decide when I'm purchasing, whether it's for my personal life or it's for the business, is this a want or is this a need? If it's a need, then I'm going to go forth with doing it correctly. If it's a want, then I'm not going to get it. And that takes discipline, because a lot of us will justify our want as a need when it's really only just a want. You really want those shoes, or you want those earrings, or you want that new whatever you're going to buy. It's not necessarily you need it. So when I started defining my needs versus my wants, it became very evident that I was buying everything because I felt that I needed everything, irregardless if I just wanted it, it was going to automatically be a need. So when I started really separating those two, it became a different relationship with the money, because your needs are very different than what you want. You start to learn it. In order for me to run the business successfully, I have to have A, B, C, and D. If what I want does not fall into A, B, and C, and D, then I don't need it. And some of us are buying just to buy. Or we have some extra money and let's just buy this because I might need it sometime. I may not need it now, but down the road, I might need it. I also use that language all the time. I'm going to buy this now because I'm going to find a way to need it in 30 days, a month from now, 2 months from now. I'm going to need it. So I'm going to buy it now because I want it, but I'm going to figure out a way to need it. And that is another layer in our money issue that we use to justify to spend on something we really just don't need. We don't need it. We want it. So once I did that, I started really rolling into my personal life the things that I was buying because I didn't really need those either. I just wanted them, but there was no purpose for them. And that's something that's very hard to get over if you are an emotional spender, if you're someone who ties spending to the way people are going to perceive you or how you even perceive yourself. It really dawned on me when I started understanding how to really have money become more of a strength than a weakness. It really dawned on me the things that I really were buying that I just did not need. I just wanted them. And even when I got them, it went over into the pile of the rest of the stuff that I wanted and didn't need. So it became really easy for me to say, no, I'm not going to buy those things. Nope, because I don't need it. And I would laugh at so many people. My father, Rudy, I would laugh at them all the time. I'm like, you only buy one pair of jeans a year, or one pair of shoes a year, or 2 pairs of shoes a year. And then I have a closet full of shoes that I don't even wear anymore. I wear the same 1 or 2 pairs of shoes. I have 1 or 2 pairs of flip-flops and 1 or 2 pairs of sandals. So why can't I just have those 6? Why do I have to have those 20? It really becomes apparent to the emotion tied behind the things that we put our focus on and the emotion tied behind what we spend our money on. And it became very obvious to me that I made horrible money decisions when I did not have enough to take care of the things that I needed. That's when it became very like, oh man, I'm not doing the things I'm supposed to be doing. So the book for me has always been something that was the next evolution in sharing a part of my journey. It was also very therapeutic in writing the book because I am able to often go back into those passages that I wrote about the emotions that I was feeling at that time. I said a story about a woman who I had to beg to come to see me because I just did not have enough money to even put gas in my car. Not only did it make me feel super embarrassed because she thought I had everything so together, I begged a client who was one of my greater clients that was a $250 facial client that always spent $250 on me every month to come because I needed her money so bad. It was aha moment that I just was not spending my money correctly, but that I had to beg someone to walk into my doors to give me money. It also showed a vulnerable side to myself, to that client, that I didn't have it all together, that I was barely just getting by. And that wasn't the image that I wanted to portray to my client. I didn't want my client to know that I was in such a desperate situation that her not coming in would allow me not to have gas and not feed my child. And so that story still resonates with me very much to this day, because it was such a vulnerable place for me to be at, to share that with someone who I respected really well and who also respected me very well. It was a vulnerable place to be in, and it was a vulnerable thing to show. But it also was a lesson in that I still carry with me now. I don't have a problem admitting when I'm not able to pay for or take care of something right away because I just don't have the money. So instead of me saying, oh, I'll take care of it and I'll try to, rob Peter to pay Paul or overcharge my credit card just for the sake of saying, oh, I can get it, I'll take it, no worries. Now I'm very honest with it. I'll tell I don't have the money right now, but I may have it in a week. So it's mine. I'm going to get it. I'm just not going to get it now. And I don't have a problem saying that anymore. I used to be like, oh God, no, I can't let people know that I can't afford something right now, or I don't have enough money to pay for it right now. Oh no, I have no problem saying that anymore. Not one bit. Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to overspend or max out a credit card just for the sake of maxing it out, just so that you can feel, or I can show someone that those days are gone. I'm not doing it really anymore. And I also am very honest about it. I feel that the older I get and the more honesty I sit in, not only with myself, but what I allow people to see and what I say to people, is very refreshing. I no longer worry about how it's going to be portrayed or someone's feelings or what they think. It's my truth. And it's up to that other person whether they accept it or not. And I think that's also definitely tied to the money relationship, because we all want to portray this image that we have everything together and that everything is just so wonderful and we can afford whatever we want. In actuality, that's not really the case. There's some things we didn't need, but we bought anyway. There's some things that we paid too much money for and it was just a want and not a need. So I'm really starting to be okay living in the truth when it comes to how I relate those things to money. And it's become very evident that had I had that mindset when I was younger, I really would have not made the decisions that I made that cost me so much. I would have really worked on my responses to a lot of it. No validation needed. I feel the same since turning 40. I'm 46 and I don't really care anymore, to be honest. And it's a wonderful freeing feeling to not have to worry about what someone's going to think, or if I say my truth. If I can't afford something, I'm just going to say I can't afford it. If I don't need it, I have no problem saying I don't need it. And it doesn't really bother me anymore. It used to be like, well, dang, let me figure out a way to get it. So if I put 5,000 on that card and 2,000 on that card and 1,000 on that card, I can get it. Not realizing that that's the emergency card. That's the card I don't need to max out because that's an emergency card. It really started allowing me to sit with it and just say, it's okay if you can't pay for something right now. It'll come. When you have it, then you pay for it. Instead of me being such a responding, trying to fix it, I'm just going to sit with it. And that's what I really do with a lot of my big financial decisions. When I started deciding when we would purchase cars, we no longer finance cars, or if we do finance anything, it's not longer than a year. That's a great feeling to know that you can walk in with that much cash and only have to finance a car for a year and it's paid off before the year is over. Those are, in my opinion, really great money-making decisions. Paying off your credit card every time you use it is a great feeling, but it took me a long time to get there, to realize that this feeling is phenomenal, that you don't really carry debt. And carrying debt is not only a physical depletion of of just, it feels heavy. It's a mental weight too. And because I was so used to being in debt and having money issues for so long, when I don't have them, it's a great feeling, don't get me wrong, but it's a feeling that I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, this can't be how things are. This isn't how it's supposed to be. And the one thing that really got me on me focusing on my money relationship even more in the last 2 years was COVID. When I realized that there were some people, the COVID crisis that we are in did not even affect them. And I know quite a few people, it didn't affect them at all. And I'm like, well, what are you doing that I'm not doing? And why did COVID not affect you, but it affected me? That's what really kind of got me on this journey of not only sharing my money issues, sharing how I got out of debt, sharing better ways to manage my money in business and in personal, but it was realizing that there's people, even now, that COVID has not affected their income. It hasn't affected their business. And I'm like, how? How is this even possible? It's because we don't talk about money-making activity. We don't talk about how to make money with multiple streams of income. We don't talk about making money without us physically being somewhere or our hands touching someone. Like, that is not taught in the beauty industry. It's very taboo. And there are a lot of people who were not affected with the COVID crisis. That's what really kind of got me onto this whole thing with understanding money a little bit better, improving my relationship with money, and understanding how money can really be your tool. That's what really started my journey on it, because I saw it. I'm like, wait a minute. It didn't affect you at all? How? And that's what really opened my eyes to, maybe I'm not looking at this from the right lens. And if I change the lens that I look at it from, maybe I can experience some things very different. That was the reason why my husband and I really decided to get rid of all of our credit, which was the best thing we could have done. I think COVID was a big catalyst for us to do that. But we also didn't go anywhere. So it was kind of a perfect storm. We weren't going out to eat like we used to. We weren't going to the movies all the time. We didn't travel. Celine, for that year didn't travel as well, which we spent a lot of money on for her dance. So it was kind of the perfect storm in order for us to really say, no more debt. We're not going to carry any more debt on these credit cards. Every time we use them, we're going to pay them off, and we're going to have a backup just in case there's an emergency situation, right? But once they're paid off, then you have to understand, what do you do with the money that you're still accumulating that you were so focused on getting and putting, because it always goes to somewhere, right? You didn't see it. So when you do have it now you have to be a better steward over your money, because it's easy to fall into a trap and say, okay, I've done the things I'm supposed to do, so let me just spend it all because I have it. Now you have to figure out, how much do you need to save? How can you build your 401k? Do you need to open another 401k or Roth IRA or anything that that you're giving to on top of everything else? Like, now it becomes, I have to really figure out the things that I need to be doing on a regular basis, because if there's extra money sitting around, there's always a way for us to figure out how to spend it, especially when we don't need to spend it, right? And that's just another layer. But my journey on this really started with people who just were not affected by COVID. I became very intrigued. I became very intrigued on, how come you're not affected by this? Steffi said, SEP IRA for people that work for themselves. Absolutely. How are you not affected? Like, that was the big thing for me. And I didn't realize that there was a lot of people that were not affected by this. And it really started opening my eyes to how powerful money is, but do you utilize that power correctly? And do you understand how to use it? Many of us don't. There's a lot of people that will come along and say, oh, you don't have to do this and you don't have to do that. You got to have good credit in order for you to get more. You got to be great with the money that you have. You can't be just spending it for no reasons. You have to have, you know, everything in order. You got to have your books in order. You got to have your taxes done on time. You got to pay your, you know, your retail tax and your sales tax. Like everything has to be in order. But if you don't have those things in order, it's not too late, but those are the things that you need to do in order for you to get more. So I just want to come on and say thanks to all of you who bought my book. My book has been out now 4 years. People are still buying it even 4 years later. I did not anticipate that. But I do think it's very relevant in the times that we are in. I think it's very relevant with everything that's happening in COVID and the way COVID is affecting small businesses and affecting people in general, especially our children and everything else, that you got to have some backup plans. You know, for us, it was getting out of debt and no longer carrying credit card debt, which feels phenomenal, right? But a lot of us don't. I shouldn't say don't. We're not ready to have those types of conversations. We're not ready to have those painful conversations to better ourselves and not continue to do those bad money habits. We don't even want to admit we have a money habit. It's just, that's just what it is. Whether we've learned it from our parents or we've learned it because that's just how we have dealt with money in our life. But at some point, in order for you to grow the business that you have to deal with the money issues you brought to the table. And my issues have been layered. It's not just been bad money decisions. It's just not been, I spend my personal credit on the business, or I was taking cash advances off of my credit card, or I was getting audited by the IRS. I've been audited twice now. It's just really understanding what it is. The name of my book is Esthetician Game Plan, Pay Yourself. You can click the link in my bio and there's a link for you to buy either the ebook copy or the softback. And I suggest the softback because I do have worksheets in there that you can print off and make copies of for your tip challenge. You can make copies of on how to pay certain credit cards off and how to do it in a really strategic way. So I always say, if you're a person that likes to write things down, and I write a lot of things down, I just believe that that's really how a lot of it works, then buy the softback for sure. Or buy the ebook and then just keep a journal for that you can keep track of, especially your tip challenge and especially the bills that you have. So you can click the link in my bio. There's a link to my ebook as well. So, you know, when you're ready to have those hard conversations and you're ready to sit down and really look at what it is that you need to do better and what it is that you need to have a better grip and handle on, then it will come to you. I do find that it's the embarrassing moments that make me look back and say, damn, I could have done that a little bit different. It's the embarrassing moments where I thought I had this and I really didn't. Or the embarrassing moments where you rob Peter and you pay Paul. Like, it's such a emotional response that over time, that emotions have to come down in order for you to logically take a step back and say, it's going to be okay. We just have to do this differently than we thought we were going to do it. You really enjoyed the book. Thanks for sharing this. You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed the book. And the book can be read at any time. You can always review it. So it's always something that can be reviewed no matter how much money you make. Like I said, when I wrote the book, I was not where I am now. I wrote the book. We had just moved to Dallas. I had only been married to my husband for a year. He didn't know the extent of my debt, even the first year of being married. So, you know, that book for me is a big catalyst because it really made me sit down and look at all the mess that I had made myself and then how I was going to get out of it. So I always say, for people who are dealing with money issues, 1, give yourself time. 2, know that if you become diligent and you're very consistent with what you want to do and you do the action behind it, it will happen. Nothing happens without action, right? I thought that I was never going to have a credit card in my own name because most of my cards were not in my name. I never thought I was going to have a huge business credit card in my name. There's a lot of things that, like I said, that I share because I truly think that when you share, you don't want people to walk the same mistakes that you have, right? I don't think I've quite made it there yet. I'm almost there. I'm not where I want and strive to be, right? I have aspirations. I always say when I get comfortable in something, it's time to get uncomfortable again and kind of push the bar. But my money struggles have been with me the whole time. It's been recently where I've really tackled them and been very, very focused on getting rid of it. So it'll happen. You got to be diligent. You really have to be diligent. I'm going to jump off this live. If you are interested in buying my book, definitely click the link in my bio. I will come back again. I'm trying to do my lives in the evenings as well. Many people are like, oh, you should do evenings or late evenings so we can have a little bit more interaction. Kind of like how I used to do my my esthetician talk. I always did them Tuesday evenings. Love seeing you too, Stephanie. We need to catch up. I used to do every Tuesday once a week, and it was fun. I had a great time doing it. So I'm kind of sort of getting back into that. So I'm alternating doing things in the morning, and then I'm doing things in the evening as well for my folks. Hey, Aggie, good to see you. Those of you who are on, definitely follow Waxing with Aggie. She has, look at my phone. I knocked my little thing. Waxing with Aggie has a great Instagram page. She has great marketing for waxers and questions. I love following your work, Aggie. And I haven't seen you in a long time as well. But definitely follow Waxing with Aggie. I love her content. She has great stuff for those of you, especially if you Brazilian wax, definitely follow her. Yes, Esthetician Chat, I used to do every Tuesday. I got away from it. Life happened. It's busy. My daughter's now in high school. She is a sophomore. I don't know. She has 2 more years of school, which is absolutely crazy. Those of you who started with me, Celine was only 3 when I started doing a lot of social media, and I was in the virtual space. She used to come and interrupt my lives all the time. But yeah, she's a sophomore now. So, she has her own little friends. And so I have a lot more time to do the things that I love to do. So, but I just came on here to thank everyone who bought the ebook, everyone who has been using it and sending me messages. Thank you guys so much. I definitely encourage you, if you are struggling with your money issues and you are wanting to have a place to start, my book is a great place to start. All right, guys, take care. I hope you have a great Monday, and I'll come back soon. Bye.